We've had our van for over 2 years now and have done almost 20,000 miles in it, taking it as far north as Norway and as far south as the Sahara Desert in Morocco. We also have huge plans for this summer to take it on the biggest road trip we've ever been on, and that's going to be an interesting one, as I'll be setting off next month without the full team and we won't be coming back until September. But more about that in another video, so make sure you're subscribed. Now, if you followed us for the last couple of years, you also know we've done some upgrades to the van in that time. And you've asked for a video covering all the upgrades. So here it is, everything we've done to the van over the past couple of years in one video. We first saw the van when Swift invited us up to Hull to see the prototype of the brand new Swift kon-tiki 874.
Oh my gosh, there is so much space.
And we're in the rear lounge at the back, which you guys know is our favourite part. We always choose a good sized rear lounge, and this is fantastic. There's definitely room to stretch out and lay down and have it as two singles. They spent a couple of years working on a refresh for the whole kon-tiki range, and the result was a huge change to all the models. It was a massive leap forward for Swift, and it was the first time anyone from outside the company had seen any of the flagship kon-tiki motorhomes, and I must say we were both very, very excited. What a van.
Oh, she's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Just have a look.
Yeah.
Look at that, it's massive, massive. Needless to say, we fell in love with it straight away. It was similar to our existing kon-tiki 649 where it had the two living areas that we prefer. However, it managed to combine the rear lounge layout that we love with a rear garage. And we'd never seen a rear garage on a rear lounge previous. We've always loved the rear lounge, as you know, but to have the rear lounge and to have a garage, it's perfection. Yep. Absolute perfection. We wanted to take the van there and then. Swift agreed that we could take the prototype van early. They liked the idea that we could put it through its paces and give them feedback before it went into full production. As Swift is a manufacturer, they insisted that we need to take delivery through a main dealer. Now, Broad Lane are a fairly close dealer for us, and we chose them as they're a family-owned and run business and all-round lovely people. We arranged a mutual date with them, and Swift shipped it down as soon as possible, and we went to collect it at the end of March 22. I remember because I could have waited until April and have it on a new reg plate, but we just couldn't wait. And it didn't matter anyway because we were going to put our private plate on it. When we got there, we were welcomed by the lovely Lottie, and she's the daughter of one of the owners, Steve. Then Adrian, who's been with Broad Lane for much of his working career, did a fantastic job of the handover. He went through it all with us, showing us how everything worked. Once we'd made ourselves familiar with it, Adrian bid us farewell, and off we went in our brand new motorhome to continue our road trip adventures with our boys. But we weren't ready to start yet. We had our brand new van, which was awesome, but it wasn't quite perfect. There were a few upgrades and tweaks we wanted to do to make it perfect. And upgrading the router was the first thing I wanted to do. See, we've got many devices, more than the included router could handle. And we already have a 5G router from our old van, so I fitted that. And being an Elon Musk fanboy, I wanted to try out his new satellite internet service. So I got us one of the new Starlinks when they came out. So we were now covered for internet access and all options on the road to upload our videos to YouTube. Whilst we're on the subject of internet access, I'd like to tell you about the sponsor of this video, and that's Surfshark. We use Surfshark all the time when using the internet, not just on a public Wi-Fi where it creates an end-to-end tunnel and encrypts the data so it's safe from baddies and big corporations. But my favourite use is to change our IP address to pretend we're in a different country. As Lindsay's mentioned on previous occasions, that when we're on the road, travelling in our motorhome, the boys like to use it all the time to switch countries and pretend they're back in the UK, so they can continue to watch their Netflix series, and so that Harry can watch the UK football. And take my awesome Ray-Ban Meta glasses, for instance. They keep rolling out a new beta versions of the software with a much better AI integration, so I can do things like asking it to describe what I'm looking at, but it keeps telling me that it's not supported in my region. This had only been available in the US, so I run Surfshark and I changed my IP address to the US, and hey presto, I'm using a new version of the beta software. Now I can do things like, hey Meta, look and tell me what you see.
I see a white and black camper van parked in front of a brick building.
How cool's that? Now, Surfshark have got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you'd like to give them a try, scan this QR code here or use the link in the description. Or you can use the code RADFOODS when signing up and you'll get 4 months completely free. And you'll be supporting our channel, as Surfshark have been a long-term sponsor for many, many years now, and we love them. Now, an electrical upgrade was top of my list, but before I did anything to the new van, I wanted to take it to PP Protect to give it a ceramic coating. We have all our vehicles ceramic coated and always trust Richard and the boys at PP Protect to take care of that. We stayed overnight at the local pub and then got into their unit first thing. They give it a good clean and a polish off before coating it in their amazing ceramic coating. It makes the whole vehicle so much easier to keep clean. Now, I wanted to fit as much solar on the roof as possible, but there was one other thing I wanted on the roof first, and that's to fit an aircon unit. Then I could see what space we had left to fit the solar panels. So I went back to Broad Lane and we met with a lovely Simon from Truma, and he fitted a brand new Comfort Plus air conditioner on the roof in place of one of the skylights, which meant the unit was fairly central to the vehicle and we could still use our Omnivent for extraction when cooking. Now, we wasn't planning on having a satellite dish on this one, so we could now fill the remaining space on the roof with as many solar panels as we could. The kon-tiki came with two 100-watt solar panels by default, and by relocating one of those in a slightly different place, it meant that we could fit an additional two 375-watt panels to give us a total of 950 watts of solar on the roof. Look at this roof, full of solar. It makes me happy to see all this solar on the roof. Next, it was time for the big electrical upgrade. Now, I wanted to be able to run the air conditioning whilst off-grid all night, which is generally not possible. But I knew if we had enough lithium installed, we could do this. So after discussing this with our good friend Geeky Phil, he designed an amazing off-grid system. And here's the main part of the install. Three 320 amp hour lithium batteries, which meant we were able to run our air conditioning unit for up to 14 hours whilst off-grid. Now, it's all good and well having a huge battery bank, but it's like having a huge bucket. If it's empty, it's going to take a lot to fill. And although 950 watts of solar is great, it's still going to struggle to fill the batteries on their own. So Phil factored this in for us, and he added two 30 amp Orion B2Bs so that they would charge the battery bank at 60 amps from the vehicle's alternator when the engine's running. Now, we already had the Victron MultiPlus 3000 that we removed from our old van before selling it. The MultiPlus is a 2400 watt inverter and charger in one unit and is still known to be one of the best units available. So we had the install done by the guys at Oak Tree Motorhomes and went for the EcoTree lithium batteries, which have been fantastic. Many of you think that we've added a lot of weight to the van with this electrical upgrade, but we haven't. You see, all the pretty blue Victron boxes don't weigh very much, and we took the two lead acid batteries out and weighed them, and each one of them weighed the same as one of the lithiums that went in. So we were only really adding the weight of one more battery. Right, I'm unfit, but let's get these on the scales. There you go, that's weighing 30 kilograms. Right, 30 kilograms, guys. Let's take that off. Jesus. I used to be in shape. Let's try the 320. Now, this is a much bigger unit, and it already weighs less. Well, 2930, so very, very similar. But these are 100 amp hour. This is 320 amp hours. So for a similar weight, we've got over 3 times. And in fact, over 6 times are usable, because of course, I can only use half of these, 50% of these lead acids, and I can use almost 100% of the lithium. So what a weight saving and a gain on the amp hours in the batteries. If you're looking for lithium batteries, we would recommend EcoTree. Now, if we were doing this upgrade again, we would also consider using the Clayton unit that we've installed in our ID Buzz, as it is a much smaller footprint without needing all the separate Victron units, as they're all built in this. And although it's rated at 2,300 watts, it can actually peak at 5,000 watts and run at 3,000 watts continuous for up to 10 minutes. If you're considering an electrical upgrade in your van, don't forget we've still got the code RR10, where you can get 10% off all Clayton products when ordering from Transporter HQ. We will leave a link in the description for this. Now, if you've been watching our videos for a couple of years, you'll remember back in the day when we first got the van, we were knocking off the water tap as it's mounted so low. This happened to us on a couple of times when using it, and we also had the issue of grinding out the tow bar in some situations, including getting on and off ferries. As I was pulling out at our last park up, the motorhome ground out on the bottom. It didn't sound good. It never sounds good when you grind out, but we've broken one of the water outlets. I managed to fix it back on, but it happened again on our next outing. So just pulling off our driveway, we've gone and ripped the fresh water off again. It's just gone and ground out, and now it's pouring all the fresh water all over the floor. Then at a campsite in Croatia, this happened.
Okay, the tow bar's about to ground out now.
I don't know what's happened. Something else has fallen off, so I don't know what we've knocked off. I think the grey's the problem this time. Okay, that's what's smashed off and gone down the road there. So after we came back from our first summer trip in the van, we decided to get the VB full air suspension fitted. It not only makes the ride much more comfortable, it also allows us to level the van at the press of a button. And more importantly, we can lift the van to stop us grinding out and knocking off our taps. You might remember at the Brandenburg Gate, we bumped up onto the curb and we were able to level it at a push of a button. It's been fantastic. As we'd fitted full air, we we were able to do an uprate on the motorhome so we can carry more additional weight. Right, let's talk technical for a moment. I've got some figures here I want to run by you. As standard, this has a mass unladen weight of 3,777 kilograms. It has a mass running weight of 3,942 kilograms, and therefore it's got a maximum payload of 1,058 kilograms as standard, which for most motorhomes is very, very good. However, you can uprate these motorhomes. This one here can be uprated to 5,250 kilograms as just a paperwork exercise. The chassis is all good for it. You don't need to do anything else. However, since we have our VBS suspension fitted, I had to change a linkage on the handbrake cable too, and then we were able to uprate it to 5,500 kilograms. If you've got a motorhome and your payload is tight, or you just want to be able to carry more weight, get in touch with WDT Services, see if they can help you. I'll leave a link to them in the description below. But don't forget, if your motorhome is already at the 3.5 ton capacity and you don't have the C1 category on your driving license, you will need to take a test to drive over 3,500 kilograms. Luckily, if you pass your test before January 97, then it's likely that you already have a C1 category on your driving license. Now, the VBS suspension can level the van at a press of a button, but if the gradient is too much, you won't be able to level it. So we decided then to get the hydraulic leveling legs fitted as well. We opted for the Alco High Force system, as each leg is independent, and they also have the optional module that you can weigh the van for you as well. And I was doing a lot of upgrades and I wanted to make sure we were underweight. So we decided to head up to Blackburn and I got them fitted. Now the install took 2 days in total and I'm very, very happy with the results. We have found that it not only levels the motorhome at a steeper incline, but it also makes it feel much more planted when parked using them.
So one thing I've noticed is when all 4 of the legs are down, it does not move. There is no rocking at all. There's no creaks, there's no groans. We're just properly planted. You might remember a couple of years ago, I certainly do, when we got stuck on the beach in Villaricos. Steve had wanted to get as close to the front as possible and we drove on and got stuck.
So we thought we'd find a nice little place on the beach to park. I mean, look at it here. But unfortunately that 5 ton thing weighs too much and we got stuck.
If we'd had levelling legs, we'd have been able to put them down to lift the van up. Then we'd have been able to put something underneath the wheels and been able to drive off.
We love travelling around Europe, especially in the summer, when we usually spend the whole 6 week summer holidays travelling there, and we generally head to warmer climates. Like last year we went to Morocco, and this year we're heading to Turkey. We've always had problems with our 3-way fridges in the warmer climates. It's not just us. You see many people removing their fridge vents and trying different ways to extract the heat from the fridge, as they're generally rated to work at temperatures up to 30 degrees below ambient. So if it's 48 degrees like it was in the Sahara Desert last year, it's going to be around 18 degrees at best in the fridge. To solve this, we switched out our 3-way fridge with the fancy doors that open both ways, and instead we put a Thetford compressor fridge in. Now the fridge works at just fine at all temperatures. Thanks again to Rob and the guys at Oak Tree Motorhomes for swapping this out for us. And I've got to take my hats off to the guys at Oak Tree. Can you imagine how hard it is to be doing this in our motorhome with the client watching, let alone with me swinging the camera around and recording them doing it? So well done guys, you did a fantastic job. Like a glove. We also have another compressor fridge. We have the Dometic CFX fridge at the back of the van that we mainly use for drinks. We got that last year from the guys at Ocean Trail, and they gave us a 10% discount code so you guys could get a discount off one too. But the discount code also works on all their other camping equipment too. And it's still working. So head over to Ocean Trail if you're after a CFX fridge or any other motorhome bits. Before I went to Morocco last year, I wanted to beef up the security on the van. So I went and got a bear lock fitted. So when we park up, we can put the gears into reverse and lock it so the motorhome can't be stolen. We also had them fit one of their bear lock safes under the driver's seat so we can lock our valuables in there, like our laptop gear and our camera gear. I believe you can still get 10% off a bear lock or their safe, so mention us when you contact them. We'll leave a link in the description. After the incident in Rabat, where we were wrongly directed into the car park, the secure parking we were looking for was just on the left there, so I headed up the road to turn around, and as I entered the car park, it all went wrong. You see, this overhang here was about to ruin my day. I got waved in, then these 2 guys were watching me at the front, whilst another was watching my rear. He was telling me to get as close to this car as possible before making my turn. He then told me to turn, and that's when it all went wrong. When we got back, we went to see the guys at Camos UK and had them fit their awesome 360 surround view camera system. It really is fantastic. It's like I've got a drone hovering over me at all times. And you'll see they've taken a photo of the roof, so that shows exactly how my roof is with the solar panels on there. It's very clever, very clever. So I'm at a roundabout now, so I'm going to indicate, and again it's showing me the top down view and it is also showing me the side view. Again, you can push the button and you can get different views, like there's a drone following us around. How clever is that? So now we can easily see all round the motorhome when manoeuvring. And it's also a recorder on all cameras all the time, so it serves as a great backup CCTV system around the van. Again, they give us a discount code. I think it's 5% discount for you guys if you want a 360 camera system fitted. So there's a link in the description, mention us. Next, I wanted to upgrade the stereo system. Not the head unit, but I wanted to add an amp, a sub and some speakers. So I went over to see Am at Blade Ice in Cranfield to see what he could do. And he built a custom sub and upgraded all the speakers in the van, including adding some more speakers in the centre of the motorhome. So I've just driven the 20 minutes home from Cranfield and I almost had a tear in my eye. The sound coming out of this thing is out of this world. As our Eddie had passed his test, had the idea of getting a tow car, which Eddie could also use. So we went to see Craig at Tow a Car in South Wales and we found a cracking little Toyota Aygo. And that was it. We bought ourselves a tow car and Eddie his first car. Look at the size of this with this on. We've just measured it and it's an extra 4.3 metres. So that's 13.4 metres long we are now.
It's massive.
Now we all know it's becoming hard to find gas, especially LPG gas for our refillable bottles. So we went and got an Urbispacker D4 diesel heater fitted and we love it.
It's so toasty.
How toasty is it in here? And there is the new control panel here, look. Wow.
Hang on, let me get in and close the door, letting all the warm air out.
If you could feel how toasty it is in here, it is lovely. Huh? We've not had a diesel heater before, but we now know why everyone raves about them. People have asked what's wrong with your existing Audi heating system that came with the van. And there's nothing wrong with that. It still works a treat, but we now have an alternative source to heat the van. And it's actually our go-to source. Whilst we're on the subject of gas, I want to point out that we do carry a large refillable safe fill gas bottle that we've had for a few years now, but we also have a 6 kilogram Cala gas bottle as a backup too. Now I mentioned earlier that Phil had originally fitted two 30 amp Orion B2Bs in our electrical upgrade, but Victron had just released a new replacement B2B that kicks out 50 amp. What are we doing today, Phil?
We are removing the two Orion TR Smart 30s and replacing them with two of Victron's brand new Orion XSs, which are 50 amps each. So we're going to increase the DC to DC charging, that's the charging from the engine into the rear batteries, from 60 amps to 100 amps.
Fantastic. Now you'd think that having a huge leisure battery bank that we'd switch to an electric kettle and induction hob sooner, but we didn't. Just old and stuck in our ways, I guess. But recently we switched to an electric kettle which boils super quick. We also got an induction hob and an air fryer for our ID Buzz, and they're brilliant. We should have done this years ago. I also went and upgraded our Starlink and bought the new Gen 3 with a flat mount dish. So our Phil went and 3D printed a mount for it to sit on the roof, and he came over yesterday to make sure it fitted. He ran some 3M VHB tape on the mount, and then after giving the roof a good clean, he masked off the area and laid down a good bead of Sikaflex 522 before lowering down the dish into place and removing the masking tape. He then converted it from 240 volt to run on 12 volts.
We want to power the Starlink from 12 volts. We don't want to be running the inverter to run the Starlink. So we have one of these. This is a buck boost, and we're going to take our 12 volt input and we're going to output 57 volts, which is what the Starlink needs to power itself.
Also, Phil's wired in another MPPT controller. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 MPPTs now. And that's so I can run these external foldable solar panels that I got. They're two 400 watt panels. So now, along with the 950 on the roof and the 800 here, I've got 1,750 watts of solar. And because these are directional, I can point them directly towards the sun and they'll work a lot better than the flat ones on the roof of the van. Thanks, Phil.
No problem, mate.
He's just connecting the Anderson connector here, and he's put a little something just under the van here, so I can just plug them in there. And he's also running, I think, 10 meters of cable, so I can put them anywhere around the van. And that leads me to the last upgrade I can think of doing, as I don't think there's much more we can do to this. But you might remember back in our video from Camper Van Camp Out, I explained that Lindsay wanted a water filter fitted, and we met Lee from Alder, and he showed us their great little unit.
So it's an ultraviolet filtration system. Very simply, the fresh water comes in here, goes through the UV filter that kills all the bacteria and any germs that are in there, and then after that you have a carbon filter that just clicks into there, and that takes out any bad taste. This has got a 3,000 litre life, or 1 year, and this is actually 70 cubic meters, so 70,000 litres of water, so you're probably never going to
It's going to be a while before we get through 70,000 litres.
Fantastic. It's really small and it fits in line underneath the sink, so we're going to go and see them next week and have that water filter fitted. I want to thank you for making it this far through the video. Please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that now, as you're not going to want to miss this year's big road trip. If you can think of any other upgrades I've missed, or know of any other upgrades you think we should do to the van, please let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.